Hi there. This is your Sensei Al Bob coming to you on Dreamy Dreamland with Sensei Al Bob. And I've been speaking on the opportunities we have in the next 14 months and the what's coming in our way, right? Uh, and before I do this, I kind of go into state praise because when I do these shows is I project my energy out to you, right? So first off, I want to tell everyone that this is just a story, and I'm here to just entertain. But the deeper shamanic element of this is my heart, and how it's not whether you see what are these stories. No, it's like just listen to my heart song. That's all, right? Have you guys ever heard of this thing called the moth? No, there are people who are actually professional storytellers. They tell the same story over and over again. They got it down. They know how to work the audience, etc. But there are a lot of people on that um, show on public radio and podcast that are just average Joes, right? And I heard one this morning of this Navajo woman who is an artist, right? And she lives in the mainstream. She teaches at some university and she makes art and she's a printmaker. But her grandmother wove Navajo rugs. And so she tells a whole story about her growing up and how her parents were educators, but they lived on the res. So instead of making a pretty good dollar, teachers really don't make any money, but they made even less. So she had to live with her grandparents. They had no electricity, no nothing. Um, she slept in the same bed as her grandparents, and and the memory of Ben Gay was her grandma, and she would help her grandma. You know, every morning they would wake up with the sun, and they would go get water, and they'd make breakfast for everyone, and then they clean house, and then they'd set up the loom, and her grandma would weave, and she would help her, and she would hold the yarn. She would help spin the yarn, and it's a really beautiful story. But as she grew up, she went to high school and got into art and got into printing, and then she went up to college and she got a degree and she master's degree, and she's a well-known printer and artist, and she teaches. And she was asking her grandma about should she, because a lot of people go, oh, you're Navajo, oh, you're an artist, shouldn't you be weaving, shouldn't you be cutting he, shouldn't you be making art? And so it was putting in her mind maybe she should be doing that, representing. And she asked her grandma, and her grandma said, no, you went to school and you learned all these things, and you do stuff that I can't do, but you still represent the Hopi, and that's respect, right? And then years later, after her grandparents died, and there's a show going on of Hopi art, she, was told, and then she got her parents to come to where she was, and they went and saw the show, and all of the rugs were her grandma's, right? And on the thing it said it didn't tell the story of her grandma, because it just said artist unknown, and because this woman was pretty well known, an artist, had respect, ran a department, all the rest, she went to the people who own this museum and said, these are my grandmothers and these are my parents, and we can tell the story. And so they did. And so by telling the story and putting it in that frame, that rug into that frame of that story, it meant so much more. And the curator of the museum, instead of being I was like really thankful and respectful, even though that person didn't come from that or didn't even understand the story. But they appreciated it. Now I'm having this experience where John Birmingham is going through my stuff, and he's pulling it out, and he is representing it like he's, Indiana Jones, and he's discovering this stuff. He doesn't even say where it comes from or put it in context of what it is. Now, I put up a few comments underneath these things, and I try to not come off as, I know everyone has friends who have that are breaking up with their exes, and all they can do is talk about their ex, right? Well, I don't want to talk about John, other than to frame. I only talk about things I can put into a frame, right? That I can describe, right? And my life is one of. So after yesterday at the IHOP and seeing this for the first time and kind of just reacting emotionally and putting a few comments up there and talking about it on yesterday's live chat, it broke me off of what I was talking about. But the bottom line is our lives are not it's our life isn't about me. My life is not about me. My life is about how I can help you. And when I help you, you help others. And, that tide lifts us all up. Morning, Twitchy and Cadre. And so, so I'm a scholar, and, I look for context, as a shamanic, psychosocial, cultural, forensic, anthropologic. Hey there, Jane. Saturday in Dreamland. Yep, here we are. So, and I'm a writer. Being the griot, I not just tell the story, I write them down. So if you can go to my xratted.blogspot.com, you will find my writings. And also, that's in the blogspot.com, the header is really Griot Publishing, GRIOTTE Publishing. Now, I'm writing a number of novels right now. I've written 4 novels this summer. And I've kind of, written them, kind of. They're not finished. But the process of writing a novel, you finish it, then you have to edit, go over and over and over, and kind of, that's where the wordsmithing comes out, right? So, this one I'm working on called The Moral Majority, Family Values, Broken Girl, Black Widow, Hot Pants. A misadventure of ideas, right? So and this is the one I've gotten closest to finish, meaning I've finished writing the 560 pages of it, but now I gotta sculpt it down to maybe 340 to 400, right? So I put up there on Griot Publishing. Go to GRIOTTE Publishing.blogspot, and you will get a link, because it was that third of this novel. Took up more space than Blogspot wanted to give me, so I had to put it up in the cloud. So go to that, and you can read that 116 pages, right? So I'm going to read 14 pages of it. Right, and these are the first 60 pages of this 500 pages are the most sculpted. So I'm going to read you 14 of them, just to give you an idea of what it is. So here we go. The Moral Majority, Family Values, Broken Girl, Black Widow, Hot Pants, A Misadventure of Ideas. Book 3. Broken Girl, Body Disharmony of the Soul. Love is the language in which God speaks, for when we listened with our love's co-creation to love's voice of empathy, it is our hearts that encompass love. All there is love. All else is ego's illusion, Saint Germain. Dharma was deaf to this voice of love. So how are you receiving me, Ken? Because again, it's when I was at the school, I could be in a nice quiet space and talk to you and not worry about the audience around me or people's voices. Can you hear me good? Am I reading well? Does it all sound right? Dharma cannot understand why Damara, Damara, and that's, the evil witch in Snow White. That's who Damara is, and you know who that evil witch was the box that shouldn't be open. That was her grandma, Damara. Damara was deaf to this voice of love's empathy. Damara could not understand why her life sucked so much. She had conquest, raped her web around the richest man's genitals, sucked him dry for the last 20 years, and then she murdered him. Had her family doctor, moron, the country medical examiner, one of her man, her husband, dead within 30 minutes of her alleged finding him dead in the shower. Within 2 hours, she had him in a cheap box in the funeral home on repose. 12 hours page in the capital paper of evidence. A state record, 1 hour past the legal limit. Larry was cremated. 25 hours from the time Larry was incinerated. Evidence of murder destroyed, no autopsy. Within Damara had sold Larry's old family homestead and bought herself one of those new tribal wives. It had that formaldehyde new car smell. Just a year, the salesman said. It was the sweet taste of money. Everything in Damara's life always had been conditional and transactional. She always forced everyone in her life to do as she wanted, but now she didn't know why everything she believed in did not bring Damara any joy. With Larry ashes on the mantle of her new home, that's all she could taste. But Damara liked that taste of scot-free murder. When Damara was a young girl, she was always a mean girl. She took no prisoners. She knew she wasn't popular amongst her peers, for her parents bought her friends. They were not her peers, they were her properties. As a bad little girl, the only thing she could remember that brought her joy was setting birds' nests ablaze with gasoline. The helpless baby birds burned with great suffering, while their parents' birds were set ablaze trying to save their young. As Damara imagined Larry did, the idea of this did not bring her joy as the memory of the burning baby birds did. It wasn't enough. Readers, you're saying to yourself, who the frack is this bitch? Now that is the correctamundo question to be asking for. Damara wasn't some whack job that would end up on the Jerry Show or on page 6 of whatever supermarket checkout tabloid, where Damara's equally whack job neighbor would be saying, she was such a Christian lady, always being with the minister, getting personally involved with getting saved. You would always seeing her around the church in town on her knees. And as Damara would say, I'm only on my knees polishing the knob of Jesus.
Yeah.
Who is this bitch that she can kill my good friend Larry? Too legit to quit Random Bob, legal counsel to all who could afford it and those who were just in the wrong place at the wrong time. How can that bitch have Larry cremated 1 hour of the legal limitations? That's a state record. No autopsy. I had just served divorce papers to that bitch. We had her dead to rights, and within less than 48 hours, Larry ends up dust in an urn. If that bitch didn't murder Larry, Opie, you're an honest cop. Sheriff Oppenheimer Taylor, everyone call him Opie, Morbid, obese body moved with the emotional and gastropodia intelligence, affected by Random Bob's not too subtle accusation that Sheriff Bob was in on the collusion. Sheriff Opie's gut rumbled like an LA earthquake, and his fat butt cheesecake opened like San Andreas Fault, releasing Mount St. Helens of a body town. Sheriff Opie was lying when he farted, and when he shit himself or shite himself, it was like he just, you knew he was lying like a rug. You could take it to the bank. Random Bob, now that's just fake news. You know I was as House of Family Values. There was no collusion, no proof, fake news. Opie, I know I'm the only one of the party who wasn't fracking that bitch. It's not so funny that you six ended up as Larry's pallbearers. That bitch tried to stop me from seeing Larry off. Tomorrow, ain't no small town sociopathic Schizopropus sexual predator. Tamara is a universal demon ready to infect all humanity. Tamara is a Pandora's box of socialized, spiritual, pandemonium. Mark my words, Opie. None of this is going to end well. All that had a hidden hand in killing Larry. Now, calm down, Random Bob. Don't start nothing you can't finish. We all really like you. We made you state Supreme Court judge and everything, but you're not one of us. You married another and I went a bit too far. I should not have said that about Alina. We all love her. She's also very smart, a real lawyer in her own right, and always standing right behind you. Uh, uh, Real lawyer, and always standing right behind you. One who wears the pants. Oh, there I go again. I got to excuse myself, Randy Bob. I've got to freshen up. As Opie got up, the butt mud flowed down his pants as he entered his monastic toilet. He yelled into his segregated assistant, Helen, get in here, girl, and clean this mess up. Helen was Eileen's identical twin sister. That's Random Bob's wife, Eileen. And so this is setting up the story. Here are the characters, right? And Damara is, as you can guess, the Black Widow with hot pants, right? Uh, yep. So this is the first 2 pages of my new novel, right? And my new novel is called The Moral Majority, Family Values, Broken Girl, Black Widow, Hot Pants, A Misadventure of Ideas, right? And the first third of this novel is up on Griot Publishing, Griotte Publishing, right? And Pandora, yep. Yep, it's like Slim Blade, yep. It's hard to read this stuff when I have no teeth. I get to certain vowel consonant combinations that just don't come out right? So anyway, I go on a bit about Damara. Let's see. When Damara was a young girl, she was always a mean girl. Yeah, we already went there. Uh, Random Bob, I just love racial gender equality. Don't you? Good day, sir. when Opie ended a conversation with "Good day, sir," you knew he was sticking it to you, no matter how bad it smelled. So, bottom line, I'm talking about, so the other that our one of our characters, Random Bob, the lawyer, married, let's say, black woman, right? But she was really smart, and she had a twin um, sister, you know. So, Random Bob's wife is Irene, and her twin is Helen, Helena, and and so she does all the paperwork. She does all the smart stuff for the police officer, the chief of police, Opie Oppenheimer, Sheriff Oppenheimer, and she's really the sheriff, but she gets paid like 12,000 a year to do everything, run the whole show, right, and clean up his diarrhea. That's as he says right here. Opie got up, and the butt mud flowed down his pants as he entered his monastic toilet. He yelled into his segregated assistant, Helene, "Get in here, girl, and clean this mess up." Helene was Helene's identical twin. And instead of calling them Helen or Eileen, which are white women's name, they call them Helene and Eileen, right? And I don't know, if you guys realize that we still live in as much a racist, you know, xenophobic, you know, sexist country as we ever did. And just because we had a black president, you know, that guy represented the man. He was not, you know, people get upset when I say that Obama, was just like George Bush and Donald Trump, and he was, because you look at what they do, not what they say, right? And Obama did all the same stuff down on the southern border. He, doubled down in Iraq and Afghanistan. He was on deck in charge when we started the wars in Syria and, you know, uh, the bombing of um, the people that Saudi Arabia wanted to get rid of. You know, and bada bing. Yep. So I'll keep reading here. Let's see. Bad girl smells really bad girl. Who created and placed in plain sight of humanity's bread and circus societies this ante- anticipation of love's evolutionary empathy for all our relations, souls, consciousness, free willed assassination, you know? And when I write things, I write these sentences that are a mouthful because they're, again, shamanic ideas. And I had a friend of mine who's a really good publisher for, a big company. And he, I send him my stuff and he reads it and he goes, "Wow, Al, you are like James Joyce on acid," right? And but he goes, "But who are you writing this for?" And basically, he goes, "It's for you." And he's right. I mean, because all my writing comes out of my journals, which is kind of me writing for me, but then I take them and write these stories. And then I say, "So how long did it take you to read that thing?" He said, "Well, I had to read it 6 times." I said, "Well, that's why I wrote it the way I did, because if I wrote it easy so you could just zip through it, you wouldn't have gotten anything out of it. You reading it 6 times, what did you get?" He goes, "Well, yeah, it really kind of was like going on the acid trip with you know? And so, yeah, my writing is difficult to read. You may have to, and I write it in these cuts so you can, you don't like, you know, choke on it. You can read a paragraph and and read it again and again and chew on it and think about what it is. Right? Tomorrow is not something new. The Malthusian problem action solution has been the sort of go-to solution for the hidden hand controlling plan of we and all our relations. Fake news, no pollution. Damara, who is this bitch and who made her this way? Her father was a Ben and Jerry clone. Damara's father was a product of the Dorian Gray, his story of the hidden hand. Hail to the powers that shouldn't be's, body politic of the Luciferian eternal gray lie of the incandescent light brigade's baseness of hell's illusionary universal corporate enterprise of ego's hate, fear, self-loathing, and ego's belief in the illusion of the narcissistic worship of the demigod of Aries sacrament, greed, violence, invasion, rape, genocide, all things bloody, to please Ball's feckless need, illusion of ego's non-existent reality of Magamede Big Bang. So gang, that one little paragraph, right, says it all. Puts it down for what religion is, why it's used, how it's used, and not the fact that we don't have a spiritual side, that we don't wonder where we came from, what's it all about, right? Well, that's organic to our soul. But that little, I'll read it again. Damara's father was a product of the Dorian Gray, his story of the hidden hands. Hail to the powers that shouldn't be's, body politic of Luciferian's eternal gray lie of the incandescent light brigade's baseness of hell's illusionary universal corporate enterprise of ego, hate, fear, self-loathing, and ego's belief in the illusion, the narcissistic worship of the demigod of Aries sacrament, greed, violence, invasion, rape, genocide, all things bloody, to please Ball's feckless need, illusion of ego's non-existent reality of the Magamede Big Bang. So that's all one sentence. Now, if that ain't a run-on sentence, I don't know what it is, but it's, grammatically a one sentence. And, I'm talking about, you know, look at Syria. Syria is just that. It is the incandescent light brigade. Who was the light brigade? It was the English, tip of the spear. It was the guys who would go kill for the king and queen, the empire. And they're the guys who just obliterated indigenous people through Africa and Australia and Asia. They're the guys who brought on the opium wars. They're the guys who caused the Zulus to go after, all of these wars are caused by Aries. And the best description of this in a cinematic form was Marvel's Wonder Woman, right? And she's from the island of the Amazons, and our hero, comes through the cloud, and the Germans, the Kaiser's guys chase after him, and they leave. And, the big metal boat lands, and the guys get off, and they got machine guns and mortars. And the girls, yes, they lose quite a few, but they kill all the Germans with spears, swords, and arrows. While the other guys have machine guns, right? And and then the movie goes, and it shows what war is, and he's got this secret, book of what the going to do, and so he's got to get it to this war council in London. So he goes there with her, and she's got her bathing suit on, and he covers her up. And and she knows, these guys can't even read the book, doesn't even know what it is, and she reads all, Greek, Sumerian, you name it, Hebrew. She reads it, she understands the physics and the chemistry behind it. She explains to them better than anyone what's going on here and what has to be done. And all the old guys go, well, who is, she's just a woman. What does she know? Well, she knows everything. And so, and so they go over, to go behind the lines to where they can see what's going on. and they want to go to this big fancy party where all the rich, and they really show it out there. So they come into France, and they come in, to Paris, and then they go to the front line. The closer to the front line, more people going this way who are suffering, who are blown up, who are torn up, who are, bleeding, children dead on the side of the road. She's getting more and more pissed, and they get to the thing, and they can't get through because it's a, kill lane right here, machine guns and mortars. And she goes, "Come on, let's go." And you go, "You got to be nuts!" And she, in her bathing, she throws off the coat the guys put on her, and she, goes over the thing, and she's bouncing the bullets off her jewelry, and gets up there and takes out, the guys, and they run away, right? And they're bullies. And all they can kill are innocent people, and that's what's going on in Syria, right? And Donald Trump, the one little place in all of Syria that had some element of peace was that northern section where the Kurds were, and they had beat ISIS. That basically kicked ISIS was basically the Brenner came into Iraq, fired everyone in Saddam's government, right? And so he let go, a million guys who were in army, so they had nobody had a salary, right? And since we went in there and bombed their infrastructure, shock and awe, Iraq has been a failed state beyond belief, and the people who've taken out their government is run by Iran and a whole bunch of other thugs. And we let it happen. And so ISIS came from that, Iraqi army and went and took over Mosul and that whole side of Iraq. And then when they attacked the Iraqi army and the American army, they had A1 Abrams tanks. I remember seeing a picture of ISIS marching into Mosul, and in front of them was A1 Abrams tanks and Bradley armored vehicles, and they were all wearing American uniforms without any patches on them, and they all had, AK-47s and M16s, and it's pretty obvious. It's a picture right on the front of the Wall Street Journal. And that whole scene of ISIS was set up by the CIA and the NSA to have continuous wars. And then they went in and took over half of, Syria and all of the other people who, it was a bunch of, people who rose up against the government of Syria. No, it was the CIA that, had manifested that. And pretty much the whole, what do they call it? The Mid-Eastern Spring, that was, again, this is all to show exactly what I said in that sentence. Hell's illusionary universal corporate enterprise of ego's hate, fear, self-loathing, and ego's belief in the illusion of the narcissistic worship of the demigod of Ares sacrament, greed, violence, invasion, rape, genocide, all things bloody to please Baal's reckless need. Baal is Lucifer, right? And the illusion of ego's non-existent reality, the Magamede Big Bang. So when it's absurd, just realize, look, there's this thing called dark matter. And what it is that we can't see anything because we have such limited, eyes, ears. We can't realize anything. We experience 1.006% of the universe. The rest of the 99.004%, we have no idea about it. The only way we can see it is through our eternal soul, through rising ourselves up into our our Akashic record. Well, yeah, the cough sounds rough, but I went to the doctor's yesterday, and what he said was, I take this medicine for my blood pressure. And he said, what I'm experiencing is a side effect of the medicine they gave me for blood pressure. And it's only occurring because it didn't occur during the summer because we had no rain whatsoever from May until October. Everything was dry. And now we've had rain. So all of those little spores that were out there dormant have now sprung up and gone nuts, are experiencing life from spring, summer to winter in this next, month. So it's, that's affecting me. But this medicine that he gave me is affecting me, making it worse. So he gave me um, a new drug. But the reason he gave me that blood pressure medicine was because for 90 days it costs, you know, $7. This new medicine he's going to give me, 90 days is going to be $112. So, do I cough and take the cheaper medicine and not die of a stroke? Or, and again, that's in essence to what I'm reading here, right? Yep, reading from one of my novels. Okay, so I'm going to continue here. And so the Maghame Big Bang was when Lucifer, who is the head angel of heaven, that head's enemy, and love's co-creation had not shown up forever, right? But Lucifer was in charge. And so love's co-creation got a little bored and decided to create us, our free will, so we're not tied to any hegemony. And then started, having a good time with us, created the Garden of Eden and was playing with its new creation. And Lucifer got really pissed and had a childish tantrum and destroyed heaven or cracked it, really. And that was the Big Bang, right? And that was the fall of the Garden of Eden. So, so that's that story. See, miraculous love of our Creator, who offers its love unconditionally. Love was not, Tamara was, that always hated everyone. And anything that had to do with all our relations to Mara was all conditional and trans. She wanted nothing to, but know why everything she believed in did not bring her any joy. Book 12, Job, JB, the canary in our meat puppet coal mine reality, Plato's cave, a state of grace and humility, waiting with eternal love, with patient patience, words of compassion and understanding. Job, the canary in the human coal mine, was not any of the above and showed why. Love's co-creation to our soul's sustaining realization of our external reason for being, or our existential reason for being. Now, have you read the Bible? Favorite, people, what's your favorite verse in the Bible? Favorite story, because it's a book of stories, is Job. And it's in the beginning of the Bible. In the beginning, before that, it's the story of Job, right? And here's this guy who was God's man, always praying, always offering, always being really honorable. And off the stage left, there was God and the devil, buddies, drinking a little brown liquor, smoking a little puff puff. And God was, oh, look at my guy, Job. He just is the best. He's always doing really great stuff. And the devil said, yeah, you know, you'd be doing great stuff too if everything was given to you, like you give everything um, to Job. And many people in this world live a life where everything is given to them. I mean, they don't do anything for it. They're born into it, right? You know, Prince Harry. They do anything for all that opulence? Do they do 1 day's of work? You know, did George Bush do 1 day's worth of work? During the Vietnam War, he was allowed to be in the National Guard Air Base, and he flew jet planes. And when he got bored of that, he just walked off base. Usually, you go to jail for that, not George, right? George H.'s daddy, same thing, went to Yale, never went. At the very, very, very end of the war, he goes out to the South Pacific and flies Hellcats. He goes on one mission, and he gets a few rat-a-tat-tats into his airplane, and he starts to lose gas. And there was this line: you know, if your plane went down behind this line, the Japanese got you. If your airplane went down, that's there were submarines looking for guys and would, pick you up. So, they're losing gas and they're figuring out, wow, if we don't lighten the plane, we're going to be in the Japanese side of the line, and that won't be good. So they throw everything out they can, and the airplane is still not going to make it to the other side of the line. So George feathers the engine to sound like it's running out of gas, and the airplane starts to go down, and he tells his crew to bail out, and he'll be the last off. So the guys jump out, and they're like floating down into the Japanese side of the line. George guns the engine, and because the crew, which was about a ton of people, is no longer on the airplane, he makes it to the other side. And there's a film. You go online, and you can see George Bush being saved, picked out of the water by a submarine. And that's our George H. Bush, and that's when I was talking about Aries, and that's what I'm talking about, people like Job, who everything was given to them, right? And they can't handle losing it, and look what happened to Job. I mean, really read Job. Gang, that's like one of your, the Blarney Stone, sure. It's kind of, it's such a tourist thing, they hang you upside down. There are these bars, you're going to, my sisters did my mom and I just, because we're the most Irish of everybody. My family is more Italian, so they went through the thing. But, years later, when I was at Trinity and then met Archie, and we took our little sojourn up the West Coast, we went to to any of the bee houses on the West Coast, from the Ring of Kerry north, they're these, ancient, cavemen structures. They're structures, right? And there's so many rocks in Ireland, and that's why all of the fences were made out of stones, because they were going to farm this, so they'd have to throw all the stones out, all the hedgerows. And the hedgerows just grow. It's pretty friggin' amazing how, so they pick all the hedgerows and rocks and move them over the sides, and bingo, they grow up there. But the bee houses, so, first they built one floor and put a thatched roof on it, and they lived it and ate and threw the garbage out the window, and then the garbage kind of got higher than the ceiling, so they built a floor there and built another stone wall, and so those bee houses are 5 to 20 stories underground. And when I first went there in the late 60s and early 70s, I was a thin boy, and I could squeeze my way through the tunnels that went into those spaces. And they now talk about, you want to get some juice, the Blarney Stone. It's like, forget about it. Like I say, it's a tourist trap. But the bee house has got some real juice. And the other interesting thing, Archie and I, we would go. So Archie's looking for pyramids in Ireland, right? I mean, that's his thesis. He wrote his doctoral thesis in Oxford about how, everything that Sitchin was talking about, Archie first said. And Archie got it from the Greeks. So, and at least Archie tipped his hat to the Greeks, Got to go to work. Have fun, Twitch. Love you, baby. See you soon. Remember, always go back to these shows and watch them in there and looking at the past shows. I got like more than 700 past shows, And I would start, taking down, not taking down, but copying my shows onto thumb drives. And Dragon did that. And Dragon, if you're watching, buddy, I love you, and I don't know why you're not allowed here. I didn't, there are a number of people who have been bopped off this and off. It's like I'm totally being played with all the time via the powers that shouldn't be. But they let me do this. So there's, something to that. So, so that's oh, so in Ireland, I see, and that was 1969 to 1971. That my first early real stage at Trinity. And Ireland is so different. It has been so bought off, so co-opted with money, so EU'd, and that's why the EU came around to turn everyone, EU gray. You know, they had this gray blue flag with the stars on it, and so they wanted to get rid of, what was French, what was Greek, what was Irish, what was Italian, and Ireland has been so oppressed for so long, and they were fought for so hard to stay who they were. And once they got their freedom, and then they were allowed to have money, that was it. So, so we're going to read Book 12, Job, J.B., the Canary in Our Meat Puppet Coal Mine, Plato's Cave. So go read Plato's Cave. A state of grace and humility, waiting with eternal love, with patent patience, words of compassion and understanding. Job, the canary in the human coal mine, was not any of the above, and showed why love's co-creation was the only providence to our soul's sustaining realization of our existential reason for being. Meaning, we're living in hell right here. We don't have to die and go to hell. We're here right now, but we're also in heaven. So it's how we play our lives, right? And so love's co-creation, when you do things to emulate your ego and to try to make yourself cool, then you are in hell. But when you are serving love's co-creation, being there for others, then you're in heaven. And it's not how much money you got in your pocket. Wake up, Job. To serve man. It's a cookbook. Remember that Twilight Zone? Right? The aliens came down, gave the big book to the UN, and it was a cookbook to serve man. Job is all of us, stuck in a convenient Luciferian illusion of reality. Meaning, the end of times when someone says, "Oh, what happened to the human race and why did their empire fall?" There'll be two reasons: their addiction to convenience and their total selling themselves to belief. I believe in this religion, this money, that money. Job is all of us, stuck in the convenient Luciferian illusion of reality. Job, as we are the carbuncle in the licky potato hole on the rear end of all of time, humanity's mud puppet soul. JB, the body dysmorphic canary in humanity's brutalized prison coal mine of our Luciferian existence that the mud puppets call reality, where they seemingly eternal do the same thing over and over again, expecting different outcomes just because their worldview says it's the ordained way to exist. Random third person thoughts of Job. Quote, JB not a man. JB always wanted to stay child. Girl, boy, not no. Definitely not a man. Ha 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 ha. Pace, 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 pace. Walk, 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 walk. Sound of shoes clapping like a drum. JB and the walking drum. JB's eyes look so old. JB life just feels horrible. What JB lived for, being famous. JB, the best writer, director, actor, filmmaker of all times, never got to be cool. It's not JB's fault. Everyone hates JB, blames JB, conspires against JB. Spotted somebody's potato hole. Yo, JB, gay, gay, gay. Girls, potato hole. Sassoon, getting gay. How you doing? Getting gay. Oh, shite. Alice Cooper, getting fracking gay, getting fracking gay, taking fracking potato hole gay, ha 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 ha, gay, fucking fracking gay, ha 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 ha. How much more can JB stand? Why do JB have to be there for others? Can't JB just kill himself? It's all the others' fault that JB don't have enough. How will JB pay his bills? How will JB get enough pleasuring? Little girl porno not enough for JB pleasuring. Ha 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 ha. JB gay. It's all those others' fault. Rednecks, blacks, skinheads, Republicans, liberals, all the people who are happy with their lives. It's their fault JB not happy. Obviously, they do it as a violent against JB. Now JB gotten out of breath. JB glad. JB been huffing that paint, painting that floor with my nightmares. JB called the Bob Pinhead. He said JB shouldn't be huffing poison paint. JB could die. Got to get gutters. JB got to get Jimmy Choo Choo shoes. 90-inch flat screen, big TV, not enough. Words of JB. Love's co-creation is our true state of heaven on earth in which we can experience life as a gracious, loving, abundant opportunity to attune our eternal soul with all our relations in co-creation with love's unconditional forgiveness. Or we are Devo. Wake up, reader. We are all JB. Transform from the heart. Miraculous love of our Creator, who offers its love unconditionally, in a state of grace and humility, waiting with eternal spirit, love's patent patience, words of compassion and understanding is the medicine that transforms our soul. You'll like this part here, kids. Medicine woman, medicine faith, walking in the path of love's fidelity. Love, the medicine that transforms our soul's disharmony. Madame Grace, the old crone, flew into town on her trusted ancient crow, Faith. She landed in the parking lot of the Save a Bunch Slaughterhouse supermarket. All the people in the market noticed, if they did, an old homeless person dressed in black plastic garbage bags with a black crow on its shoulder. Madame Grace, what are we doing here at Sodom and Gomorrah? Was this not the first Eden, the fall of the old apple? Asked the old crone's trusted animal totem, Faith, the ancient crow, who never spoke the question without knowing the answer. A true Virgo. Faith, as you already know, there is a connection to our raison d'etre here in this little city. A time shimmering of galactic perspective. Our path demands that we involve ourselves to represent love's co-creation with the three great laws. 1. Doctor, do no harm. 2. Don't involve ourselves without a positive exit strategy for protecting the innocent from harm. 3. Don't involve ourselves if we can't learn something that will assimilate love's co-creation to all our relations. Madam, we always seem to utilize the great law of three to put ourselves into a situational position that are unattainable to those said laws. Faith, where would you rather us be? Back at the farm drinking tea, eating finger sandwiches? Preferably, madam. There is nothing wrong acting our age and minding our business. Don't the laws of karma demand these creatures make their own choice on the direction of their lives navigated? Their lives to navigate? Are we not tilting the scales of the galactic justice? How many wars, cataclysms, catastrophes have we caused? How many have died, suffered at what we cost? All right, you're mostly correct. But you know, it's always works out for the best in the end. And if we didn't say no more to the hidden hand, who would stand up to all for all our relations? Faith, what have you become, my devil's advocate? Well, madam, I have and always will be your friend and comrade. I am always honored to be by your side, to aid and avail with all of my heart's powers of love's co-creation's ascension of forgiveness. But of late, we have exhibited less forgiveness and more wrath. Since we came off the island of the Amazons before the Peloponnesian Wars, each proceeding conflict has just blurred into the next. No matter how hard we exemplify our mentor, the doctor, to do no harm, there always are winners and losers. And at the end of each day, the losers are someone's mother or child.
Said that
What do
when
you
I
want?
left
A
this
nice
morning.
little nest in the
You
woods?
said that when I left this morning. Oh, you starting a new day now?
Yes. How many new days do you have, Richard? How many new days do you have? I don't know. Well, that's a good answer. I hear that. What do you want? A nice little nest in the woods, the suburbs, 2.5 kids, a nice boring job. How many millennia have we been doing this? Come on, Faith. This is the only life for us.
$5 today, didn't you?
For all of the books in your never ending library that you said you have read, and all of the masters we have studied under and served, we always rush in to save the day, madam. After all this time, we should have sharpened more than our blades. Faith, oh, Faith, that's a burn. And coming from my guardian angel, I know, what you say is true, as it always is. You hear me crying every night for all the blood of my dreamscape that is spilt, all the innocent lost, always left alone, but things would be hellishness worse if we haven't for all of this time raised our auric shields of shamanic protection to thwart the evils of the hidden hands, fashions, oppression, fascism, oppression of love's co-creation of all the relations to keep things from being worse. There is no more noble calling to aspire to. Madam, things can always be worse, and often do get worse. As we thwart one evil, another demon seed of the hidden hand appears on our paranormal radar. It seems we feed each other, bad for good. On and on it goes. Have you thought if we ignored the hidden hand, it would lose its need to be evil and just succumb to the inevitable of love's co-creation? Aren't you getting tired of all this running into harm's way? Somebody else always dies. I know many a time I have wished we had not gotten the heralding call. Always death calls. That's it. You think there be no reason, raison d'etre, if we didn't show up to death, that we would fade away? Faith, what is the black and white thing rolling towards us with the flashing blue lights? Madam, you're just trying to change the subject. You do this every time I question why we do what we do. And how did you know I wasn't your animal totem? Faith, you're an angel. It's your wings that give it away. But, madam, I'm a crow. No one draws their blade and blood without a blink of their body landscape and then eternally feel guilty about it. Faith, the black and white, blue, lighty, blinky thing, it's talking to us. Don't tell me you can't hear this. You're just punking me. Lady, is that a crow on your shoulder? And are you talking to it? Officer Dick Bulbus, one of Sheriff Opie's not too finest, was trying to respond to a disturbance call in the save a bunch of slaughterhouse parking lot. But all Officer Dick found was seemingly an old lady dressed in black garbage bags, calmly talking to a crow. That was calmly standing on her shoulder, talking to her. Officer Dick didn't want to obviously mention any of this over the radio, for the police channel was like the town party line. Everyone in town had a scandal. Officer Dick had made a fool of himself one night while listening to George Norrie on Coast to Coast. Officer Dick fell asleep. He keyed the mic and reincarnated a Bigfoot that came over to the police channel. And Officer Dick woke up to a dream of the Bigfoot trying to overturn his car. Well, in reality, it was just a cow having sex with the car or scratching itself inappropriately. Lady, can you come over here, but not too close? Officer Dick hoped he would not catch anything, for he hadn't ever seen a homeless person personally. Officer Dick had seen plenty of poor people. He came from poor people. Mostly everyone in town was poor, but they all had a place to live. Madam, I would not use the course, what do you want line with this at this time. Maybe I should make first contact. Diplomacy should be the path we take for this native. Really, Faith? Do you think this native is going to take kindly to a crow talking patronizingly to him? Everyone hates your all-knowing attitude. I depend on it, for you are almost always correct. And over the millennia, it has helped me with my egoless ego. Hey, you two, get over here. I can hear you both talking. What's the trick, lady? Are you throwing your voice into the dummy? I'll have you know, my good young man, I am no dummy. I am the madam. I and the madam are over 3,000 years old. We are here on your planet on a most urgent mission to save your planet from the total annihilation by the hidden hand. You don't say, lady. How do you do that? You make it talk like that. It's not a matter of how to make Faith talk, it's how to shut him up. Shut me up, officer, as you can tell. I and my crow are not from these parts. We are travelers from a great distance of time and space. We do not mean to offend. We come. We, 2:31? No, my time really is okay. It's not quite one. You are avatars from another dimension, time, redemptive wars, police from the future. How can I help? Please let me help. I want to help. I need the help. I need to be more than the Barney fights of this town. I always know what's going on. I just have a problem with putting the dots together. Who in this town would know how to suspend their disbelief, or even what that is, as I am doing now? See, I'm kind of smart. Can't you feel this? It's righteous, perfect moment not to do the expected. I do it. I do. I will. Please let me ascend to be all of love's co-creation. I can be a help. Please let me help. Wow, madam. See what I'm. See what I, as a diplomat, can do. Sorry, Faith. No one gave him a script. Look at this guy. Look at him. He's a lucky bastard. You're correct, madam. His ego's noise is out of phase with the words present ego-driven fear, greed foundation of their factious civilization, so-called white culture of hate of the other. See what the crow said? You need me. I can help you. You need cover, transportation, please. My son, what's your name? Officer Dick Bulbous. No, it doesn't sound correct, Richard. My name is Dick. It's on my birthday certificate. I come from a long line of Dicks. If you're to be a part of our cadre, we are not going to call you Officer Dick Bulbous, not unless we have to. I am Madam Grace, the old crone. Can I have a little more hot water
Uh-huh.
And what did you say? Cabbage? What are the other vegetables?
We have boiled cabbage, mashed potatoes, and gravy. Um, slaw, fried zucchini sticks.
Okay, I'll have cabbage, mashed potatoes and gravy, and fried zucchini sticks, and some cornbread with butter and hot water. That's lunch. I had breakfast. I'm gonna have lunch. Because, I'm sitting at this table. I got to pay for the real estate. Let's see what you guys are saying. Twitchy left us. Baba Bing. Hey, Ruff. Kiss of Marty Stone. Yep. Okay. Let's see. My name is Dick. It's on my birth certificate. It came from a long line of Dicks. If you are to be part of this cadre, we are not going to call you Officer Dick Bulbous unless we have to. I am Madam Grace, the old crone. Never use or tell anyone my name is Grace. This is my clan name. I tell you now as a gesture of trust, for I now am going to give you a clan name. You aren't KKK clan. My daddy Dick, his brothers Big Dick and Ben Dick are all Klansmen. They're all Dicks. No, Richard. Where Madam and I come from, there is no KKK. Instead of your present ego-driven civilization, so-called white culture, we come from a patch where we would find ourselves back in our Creator's world. To achieve this, on your patch, we must build this brave new world on what gives people hope. This new foundation must be built on an aesthetic of love's beauty of co-creation. We must elicit constructive solutions through the example of all our relations. Wow, you are really one smart crow. Yes, Richard, faith is one smart crow. But before we get a crowd wondering what we are doing, I suggest we get into your roly blinky box and roll away to some place where there are no witnesses. Shoot, you're right. I mean, correct. Here, madam, let me open the back door and help you in. Dick's police car rolled out of town to the north into the Appalachian Sawtooth Peaks to his grandma's old homestead. She lives all alone. She will love this, he thought. She's always talking of love's co-creation, all our relations, and she loves a good puzzle. And Madam and Faith, what a puzzle. Hope's heroes, Salamangunde. As Dick slowed his rolly box down, as he turned from the black snake of the county road of dangerous illegal financial gain, of logging and long hauling, trucking of things that the sheriff was paid not to stop. There is something evil about this snake. Look how it is affecting Faith. Dick was focused on driving safely. He had not looked back to notice that Madam and Faith had turned into great churning, sparking balls of light, like lightning suns from the back of his rolly box. Let's see. What do we got here? Cabbage, zucchini, mashed potatoes, and gravy. Yep. You got it, Kellen. Thank you. Arf. With eyes wide shut. Let's see. Let's see. Dick was focused on driving safely. He had not looked back. Noticed great churning, sparkling balls of light, like lightning suns in the back of the rolly box. Both booted feet slammed on the brakes, almost putting the rolly box almost in the ditch. Don't stop. Stay on the dirt. The black snake wants to kill us. Go, 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 said the madam. Dick just thought, and the two wheels drive turned into four, propelling the rolly box into Pegasus, flying them over the sawteeth to the safety of Hope's grandma's deep green, with eyes wide shut, knuckles white, mice grip on the wheel of fortune. Pegasus landed the rolly box correctly in front of grandmother's front door, with grandma sitting on her porch smoking her corn cob packed with sacrament. Grammy, help! We need help. You have to. I have two new friends in the back of the rolly thing. They need your help. Grammy didn't move, just smoke fell, making her look like she was floating high on a cloud, raising one eyebrow like Mr. Spock and saying, "Ah, most interesting entrance. I'm so glad you come to visit with friends." Within a twinkle of her eye, she went from rocker to opening the back door and looking in on the passengers. "Welcome home, you two. All's well. Here, take my hand. Look, sweetie, it's my oldest of friends, Race and Faith. I could not have hoped for a better gift than these two. It means something's afoot. We're going to have some fun now. Going to hang those sock puppets on the hidden hand, powers that shouldn't be, to die. I got all the guns loaded and the teas on the stove with some warm honey biscuits and buns and fresh sweet cream and butter. Come on in. Let's talk about the plan." Looky here, Faith. It's Grandma. We should have known, but first, this boy is your grandson? What do you call him? He's not a dick. No, he's not a dick. I call him Sweetie. He's all my hope, my hero. That's it, Faith. We're calling him Never Again Dick. No, not Never Again Dick, but either Sweetie, Hope, or Hero. Such a Salamangan guy. I'm going with Grandma's Venturette. Now, those are two words, because I don't have teeth I can't pronounce, but they are Greek words that have been pushed into English sideways that if you look them up, you'll go, wow. And that, I'll spell them for you. Blah, blah, blah. Good Faith, I'm calling him Never Again. I'm going with Grandma's Verate and Salmagundi. Anyway, I'm going to call you the Sweetie, Hope, or Hero, such as Salanga. I'm going with Grandma's Ventura. Your new clan name will be all three. We will use them in their appropriate situational cornerstone here and now. You'll see. It's going to be great. Like, what do you think, Sweetie? Or let's go, Hero. Or Hope, you're all we need. See, it's going to be great. Madam, it does seem strangely appropriate. I just hope it doesn't cause any long-term temporal damage within the close resolution of our relation's souls. When the Black Widow, as the prepubescent, met the Mothra JB, the laundry list, the dribble of JB's id, and whose hand is on the tap of the Wheel of Fortune. Within the corporate hegemony of the hidden hand, the focus is most intense on the cultural realm of money, power, and control. How am I going to pay my bills? That is the aesthetic dimension of branding. Dominance is considered the premium of importance. I hate my parents. They are so mean and cruel to me. They give me only $5,000 a week. The relationship between culture and history is seen within the Marxian dialectic as a cultural transformation. My parents are so selfish. never gave me my dreams, never supported me in the fashion I wanted, always had to keep my hair short like my military fracking dad. The look of the alpha was essential to the political and economic ascendancy. No, I never could wear bangs or have anything cool or dye my hair. The ambiguity was not the question of cause and effect. My parents always did exactly what they wanted, smoking cigarettes and working three jobs, always working exactly what they wanted to do. This issue was not critical to Marx. Everyone hates me and wants me to be miserable. They are so mean and cruel to me. They give me, they are, everyone hates me and wants me to be miserable. They are conspiring against me. They are jealous that I am better than they are. Marx argues, as did the capitalist, that the economic constitutes the essential substratum of history, that the foundation to humanity's reason to live was, and as it always was, the mystery of money. As Ra said, all is ruled by gold. Money talks, all else walks. Or was it stepping back from the dialectic within the fashion show of his story? Everyone from the Sumerians to Kim Kardashian realized, as Billy Crystal said on SNL, it's better to look blameless than to be blameless. And Donnie Chump tweets that every day. Fake news, same as it always was, is, and will be. The ashen taste, the hidden hands bias, blameless base. Prejudice. It's better to falsely think you not only look better, you are better than everyone else. Just because your prejudicial belief, racial, class, religious, tribal bigotry, and national xenophobia of the other, rather than be better in thought, word, action, and bringing us forth love's co-creation. Meaning, we're always ready to blame somebody else instead of us looking at ourselves and stepping up and being, being that better thought, word, action, thus bringing forth love's co-creation. That's what we're here for, to bring forth that thought, that better thought, word, action, thus bringing forth love's co-creation, right? Not about being rich, not about being famous, not about being any of the above. And most of all, you have to compose this with respect, appreciation, understanding, coming from a place where it's not always about you. When, as Lot 13, meaning when tomorrow is being created, when at Lot as Lot 13, Damara's face looked like a zitty bag of potatoes, and her chest went sideways rather than out in all the right places, and was covered with ape hair. Her DNA matador, the physician's apprentice, brought her into his lab and tinkered with her genetically modified form. So Damara is basically a clone, right? And more like a Kamara, when you make a monster from lots of different DNAs. He said, Lot 13, don't look into the Valerian mirror you've just emerged from, the racist vat. You're still forming. Not that you're ugly. You are just a reflection of your non-soul's dysmorphism. Just remember your heritage, blood and mud, and the Reich of the racial purity of self-loathing of the other. Meaning, did why do people hate other people? Because they hate themselves worse, and they can't. They're too chicken or too selfish to kill themselves, so they kill other people. Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the evilest of them all? Pop up, I don't understand anything, but I believe we are superior to all others. 13, we are superior to all of love's relations, and they must die by our hidden hand. But pop up, why do things feel so bad? Nothing brings me happiness. Only when I set a nest of baby birds alight with petrol dew did I feel any bit of joy, and it was fleeting. My child, if you don't love Lucifer, go back to your shite hole. Each in somewhat different ways, the cultural and the aesthetic come to signify the core of the they. That is the power that shouldn't be, but are the hidden hands his stories experience. 13, when you incinerate your own children in sacrament to the inconstant shadow of Lucifer, you will find the taste, the ashen eternal bliss of damnation, our tribal intolerance. They do not see the cultural as simply the after effect of some hidden reality, but rather as the ground on which the essential reality worked itself out. These innocent shadows of Lucifer's aesthetic were branded with deep genetic gestalts, such as the swastika, the hammer and sickle, the stars and stripes, each representing their power over everything. Art and life were intimately bound up together. But pop up, why are we here? What is the meaning to our life? I just want to kill myself. But every time I want to do so, I cannot go through with it, and it makes me feel even worse. Clearly, figures such as Nietzsche, Heidegger, Spengler made the truth of to made the truth made the turn to the cultural, the not so good school, like the Nazis, the communists, and the plutocratic fascists, those states that we call corporate capital neo-conservative, neoliberal democracies view, view all our relations as their expendable property. We, the people, their property, is culturally programmed with the slave mind not to break the master admiralty law. Only the masters can transactionally take life as distribution of property. Please, Papa, just kill me. At Frankfurt School, the ultimate aspect of the crisis of enlightenment is the crisis of Lucifer's aesthetic taste. If we don't love it, thank you, dear. Let me make a little space.
Put it together. I tried to do it with separate, and I thought, oh, you put another one.
Yep.
Let me go get this.
Yep. Ugh. Okay. So that little section I was reading there, Pop Up and her genetic engineer, um, were was coming from the Frankfurt School. Ooh, thank you. Good girl. Reading my mind. Thank you.
Good?
Yep, yep. And um, so I'm taking the scholarly thing and putting it into a storyline. Yep, parallels with that. All of these things have parallels because they're all the same, right? They're all coming through the aspect of the artist in the first person, right? So, oh, that's pretty hot. See how the cabbage is. That is hot. Oh, yep. A Kamara. Yeah, you got it. You can't pronounce it. Kamara. Yep. But Robinson, come on, stay on the plane. I mean, John doing what he did was unconscionable, you know. But what was interesting was that the beauty of my great grandparents and their love. I mean, he gave no backstory whatsoever. I mean, the real interesting thing, that was the backstory. Of course, what that box was a love box. It had all of these things that people don't understand. My father, when he got sick, couldn't do anything. So I got him a Bose. Um, Bose makes some great speakers, and they have great radios. And I couldn't get up, so I had this thing that it had a changer, and I got him like 100 CDs and hooked it to this Bose thing. And so he could, with that little changer, he could listen to stories, music, all kinds of things he loved. 120 things. We went to Walmart and we got all the things he loved, right? Into the library, we got stories. But he's a big reader of stories. He got to a point where he couldn't read. So I got that thing. So that was his little magic wand. Put it in the box. That piece of palm I got when I was confirmed in the first, not confirmed, got my, when you're allowed to take communion, my first communion, right? That was that piece of palm, right? And those beads, John didn't even show them. They were rosary beads of my mother that were given to her by her mother. I got them from her mother. I mean, these are some pretty heavy, iconic objects. And John was just, ooh. And he read this letter from my grandfather to my mother, and he was sick. He died a few days later. And he came from a family that actually were quite rich. You know, the whole concept of the robber barons were from his great grandparents, who New York State used to be what going west was, right? And so they were the first people to go up there and conquer and cut all the trees down. Before the railroads, they had canals, and they built the Erie Canal. And they made their fortune cutting all the trees down and lumbering it and building towns out of that lumber and building hotels. And they had the first big hotel chain in America. And they were robber barons. They were the first, the Gilded Age. And so up in that neck of the woods, and the big industrial push came in upstate New York because there was so much running water. They put the factories next to it, and then they could move coal, the steam engine, and but over 3 generations between that point, before they went up there to do their robbing from the Indians before the revolution, and they spent all the money by the end of the Civil War, because all the other generations were dilettantes and just spent cash and bought stuff. And just like John does, he spends his parents' money to buy things on Amazon so he doesn't have to go out. So gets Grubhub to deliver him food. So that was so by the time my grandfather showed up, only my great aunt kept the money. She was the only one who had that gene in them to be ruthless and heartless and live for just money. And she did not share any of that money with any of her nieces and nephews. My parents, you know, she was a great aunt, and you know, so that little box had all of these stories. You know, that John didn't even. You know, John looked at him and wanted to act. You know, to be. You know, he wanted a popular show to put on his YouTube channel to commoditize it, to make money and be popular and cool. And so he did that lame, ooh, look at this. And he read this letter. I mean, he's reading it, and it's my great grandfather's heart pouring out to his family while he's dying. And John reads it in such a way that you can't even understand what he's talking about. He has no appreciation, you know. So how can John be an artist when he can't even appreciate what's in that box? You know? You look where he does 2 hours of him, you know, singing songs about, you know, very inappropriate things, you know? Racist, sexist, you know, misogynist, you know, and whereas I'm reading you a novel, I'm talking about the human complaint and in the bigger context of these forces, right? So this novel is going to go on, and it's like it travels through time and space, just like the old phone does, and goes deeper and deeper into, you know. So I suggest you guys. How long is this? Hour and a half. Suggest you guys, you know, go to it and see what it is, right? Right? Go to xratted.blogspot.com and go to Griot Publishing, GRIOTTE Publishing.com. You might leave John a little message about how mean and cruel and inappropriate it was him stealing the spiritual essence of my grandparents. Whereas when he did that nice little video about his grandparents, you know, why? I mean, he himself has a very nice little backstory. He doesn't talk about it at all, you know. And John, again, is this canary in the coal mine. He represents the human race. I mean, he really is. He could be an amazing, you know, if he went into his own heart. You know, why can't he be with his children? It's not that his wife took him away from him. No, his kids were with, you know, were down in Roanoke for a number of years. He never once saw them. You know, when he bought the school that first year, the kids were in Roanoke. You know, he went to see him 3 times, and the only time, you know, the only reason he saw them 3 times because I took him there. The first time I said, "Oh, let's go do some shopping, John," and I took him to the house, and there the kids were. He said, yep. So all of these things that Jane just said are what's going on. And the only thing that can break through this is love's co-creation. Anti-culture, right? Culture, see, you can change politics, you know, and right now, what's going on right now is that the hidden hand, we're at the same place we were around the 9th century, you know, when the Roman Empire collapsed. Why did it collapse? Just like ours is going to collapse. It had armies all over the known world, keeping open the lanes of transportation of profit from that. But it started to cost more to keep those lanes open than the profit they were making off of the stuff they were stealing. And that's what's happening to the hidden hand. So they thought if they totally threw the Mid East into chaos, then they could sweep up all the. But no, it's not working out for them. And so whenever you have to realize within the hidden hand there are a number of factions. It's not just one group of guys sitting on a table making up what's going to go on in the world, like Bohemian Grove or any of that stuff. It's none of that. It's all part of a hegemony, right? A hegemony is this kind of literal, linear organizational structure, like the corporate structure, pyramid scheme. Right? So what they're having to deal with is rebranding what's going on, right? Within the structure of whenever you rebrand anything, you have to disrupt the flow. And what better disruptor than Ronald Reagan? And all of the other fascist characters of the powers that shouldn't be. The guy in charge of Brazil. I mean, all of South America was really coming out pretty interesting, And I mean, they broke all of the banana dictatorships that were coming out to be, Chile and Argentina and Venezuela and Brazil were all becoming prosperous. They were called the BRICS. They were trying to set themselves up as their own economic group. And because Venezuela has a lot of oil, actually more than Saudi Arabia, they were going to, try to break away from the American euro dollar. So that's why all hell broke loose, And they were going to get Iraq and Iran and Muammar Gaddafi and Syria to join this. And that's why we had war in all those places. And that's for democracy. I mean, we made all those guys. We put all those guys in power. And they were our client state. So we're rebranding. And Russia can't be the big nasty guy because when Texas has a bigger GDP than Russia has no money. To have a threatening military might, you gotta have some money. They have no money. Now, they're tricky. They can make a lot of noise. They can make a lot of inference. And when you have a moron like Donnie doing his thing, the interesting thing about Donnie is the backhand of what's going down. I mean, everything he does has a positive other side. Like, when he's going on, the only thing that Donnie doesn't do, he doesn't go far enough. And he goes on about fake news. He should hook himself up with guys like Noam Chomsky, who wrote, Manufacturing Consent, and guys like Chris Hedges. Well, the last 4 books that Chris wrote are pretty amazing, spot on about what's going down. And there are a ton of people who are writing some pretty amazing things. But he doesn't read a book. And seemingly, the guys within his contract, so I grew up in New York City. So I was around when Donald Trump and Roy Cohen and Giuliani And those guys, I was a disco electrician, and so I was in a lot of discos, and I saw, you know, good old Roy Cohen doing things in the basement of Studio 52 along with Rudy and Johnny. But, just go back and look at the good old Greek days and before we got Sodom and Gomorrah and the Romans. And all of these empires were corrupt beyond belief. In the United States, every year, 1 million children go missing. They don't do anything to say anything about that. What the heck's going on with those kids? 1 million. Back in the day, I guess it was the 80s, they used to put missing kids' faces on milk containers. Well, if you had 5 or 6 kids, you were going through 10, 20 containers of milk a week. When people started going, I remember when I was at my friend's house, and I was looking at all the empty milk containers that they were wanting to recycle, because this is part of, we had our housing authority. We recycled everything. We used everything. We grew our own food, made our own electricity, until we got legal Con Ed in there so we could have, electric bill so the man couldn't throw us out. Because if you have a utility bill, that is the sacred key. If the marshal shows up and wants to throw you out, you just show them the utility bill, he's got to go away. So, zucchini sticks, yummy. Aunt Remington, my grandfather worked for Ingersoll Rand, which was a machining company. So he was an engineer that made machines. Machines that stamped things, the big factories, they made these big machines. And they did everything with steam and air pressure. Air pressure was the control and steam was the muscle. And he invented a lot of things, but he didn't get any, no, and that's the way, right, Edison was the same way. He had 3,000 patents. All the drawings and descriptions were in different handwritings. The only single handwriting that was his was the one he signed where it said, "I own this." So my grandfather was a great inventor. Right? That's where he had this German brain, and that's why I have, my little German brain from him. Why I'm kind of a engineering type. No, but Remington Man, I think I told this story about when I went to 3rd grade on Glencoe School. I was a new kid, so the first day I was sitting by myself at the table. And this kid sat down when he was wearing a suit. I was just wearing a t-shirt and jeans and sneakers. He was wearing a suit, really nice fine shoes. He said, "Can I sit with you?" And I said, "Sure." And he goes, "My name's J.P. Holam." "Oh, hi, J.P. I'm Al." And we start talking. You new here too?" I said, "Yep." He said, "Me too. It's my first day." "So you're my new first friend." "Oh, great. Good to see you." And, today, JP would be considered and he had a little Asperger's, he had a little autism. He's highly, 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 highly. He could work. He could fit in. He could, manifest. And so he said next to me, he goes, "You want to see my gun?" And he pulls out a Walter PBK, puts it down in front of me, picks it up, takes it apart, sets the pieces all around, bullets, clip, springs. And he's got the James Bond holster, and that's why he's wearing a suit, so you can't see he's packing. And he takes his gun out and puts it on the cafeteria table around hundreds of kids all around us. No one even blinks. He takes it apart, puts it back together, puts it away. And then I go home with him. His mom meets us in the kitchen with a Donna Reed outfit and an apron and 245 on either side. Anyway, her grandfather started the national, the NRA, and he worked for Remington Rand, and he worked in the armory that made guns for the Civil War. So there is that connection there. Why do you ask, Mr. Robinson or Miss Robinson? Robinson, I always like to know where these questions are coming from, especially when they come out of the blue, from so non-connected to what I'm talking about. So, tell me about where it came from. Because every time, Robinson, you do this, you ask a non-tangential question, makes me think you are John Birmingham, especially when you say you're in Ireland and you ask me a stupid question like, did I kiss the Blarney Stone? I mean, no Irish person would ask that question. I mean, that's like sacramentally terrible. It's a tourist trap, So again, every time you do that, Robinson, it makes me think you are John Birmingham trying to weasel into this conversation. Because all of John's other what do you call trolls are pathetic. And what's really pathetic is that John has a bunch of trolls that say how great he is, right? Because obviously John. Saw the video of your friend. Okay. Be more specific, Robinson. What friend? What are you talking about? See, Robinson, whenever you say things, they're so non-specific that, everybody else basically says things that are coming from their heart or coming within the construct of what I'm talking about, but it's like you say something that's so sideways that it's like you want everyone to look at you. So, what friend are you talking about? Saw the video of your friend. What friend? See, Robinson is, I'm not going to call him this, but he's acting like what the Marxists would call a Stalinist obstructionist, meaning you say something or do something that stands in the way of the flow of love's co-creation. Thus, you are wanting the focus of everything to be on you, to be all about you. Not about the cadre coming together and learning something, but you. My Birmingham fan, right? Okay, that's why I think you are, John. Boop-a-doop-boop-boop. Mm-hmm. So, lunch was good. I'm glad to share it with you. So we've been talking now almost 2 hours. So that's the novel. Right? There's a lot of it. I've got a third of it up. I'm working on. I've written 500 pages of that. And it gets into really wild and crazy stuff. Right? You talk about both sets of my grandparents, where they came from, who they were, what they were. You know, the crone and crow are part of the heroes. So is the lawyer. So is Sweetie, Officer Dick, and it's a great adventure across time and space, and it talks about tons of different things. So, what do you guys have to say? Anyway, what time is it now? Almost 2 o'clock. So, you guys have anything to say? Give me some more thumbs up. Come on, get some more fans on the cadre scale. Anyway, I'm go home. Let's see what now. 1 hour and 53 minutes. I'll wait until 2 hours shows up. And any questions connecting to your feelings, what I've just said, any questions you have, but not erroneous, things. Did you ever kiss the Lonnie Stone? Jane. Arf. Ay. So you guys come up with some stuff, and I'm gonna go get myself some more help. This one here. There we go. Pineapple upside down cake. Yummy. Missy does the best. Mm-mm-mm-mm. Mm. Mm-mm. Mm. Mm. this? Mhm. Well, tomorrow's Sunday, my day of rest. Maybe Monday or Tuesday I'll do another live chat. Never thought about stuff. Um, you know, again, we're looking at this window of opportunity. Right? Now, after the 14 months, it's not like the end of the world is coming. But things will start to change. And it's not the opportunity will go away. It'll be there. Opportunity is always there. Well, I don't know. I'll still be here. Because, I left John for a reason. And that reason was, I tried my best and having really long lasting influence. He wouldn't take up on the positive example I was laying down for him. We'd be stuck in this, the same thing that Job was, JB. Right? Well, hey, when he was unbelievably disrespectful of my family and stealing that spirit energy, well, one thing, I never took that stuff out and showed it to you like, ooh, it was sacred. Now I try to help you affirm your own sacred space, right? Not me to push one on you, per se. And when I tell you stories, those are examples and you can learn from. Now, when John showed that those artifacts terribly disrespectfully, their beauty and grace shone through, even through his crassness. And so that's where we are. And that's one of the things I still keep coming back to John about. Not so much I physically go back to him, but that I reference him as he represents. So he really represents the crass, materialistic, soulless character. Right? He has two children who represent the grace of love. When he was abandoned them, and when he feels guilty, he goes to Texas and spends 2 days with them, and then comes back. Says, "Oh, it's so hard." Like he had done some great feat. Well, that's kind of where humanity is right now. Right? So I left John because it's easier to live there. Definitely easier to live there. Physical. Than where I'm living now. But where I'm living now is so beautiful. And even though it has, I don't have the medical backup that Roanoke has, but I've got enough to be safe, and a safety net. And in Roanoke is a city that's a microcosm of America. It's a great disparagement of everybody, right? So it isn't just the rich and the poor. Whereas here, it's just rich. And, this was like, living in Africa, where Syria. We just don't have the fighter bombers. But we do, because this area have been very, very rich. It was the bean capital of the world in the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s. And they grew every kind of vegetable here. and Dumani and all those candy guys were here in a big way, and everyone had a pretty good job. In the 1950s, around $12 an hour, pretty good. And then Bear, who owns Monsanto, came in here and bought up all the little farms, because there were all these little farms that would bring all their vegetables to the big corporate guys who put it in cans or froze them. They had a big freezing machine.
The fish sandwich, why is it voided? It wouldn't let me go back. You have to go to this computer and save it, remember? No, it wouldn't let me. I know, you have to save it from this computer to get it back to that computer. Okay. That's how they talk to each other.
You could just write it on a piece of paper. Can you still hear me? Put my mic back in. Ooh. So, next 14 months, I'm going to try and focus more and more. I mean, that's what this novel is about. Really deconstructing what, the Luciferian materialist illusion is and what love's co-creation of an alternative aesthetic is, right? So that's what I'm going to be. Hey, bug nuts. With my girlfriend, when the crazed guy came in and we kind of, I have to tell you in that story, Bug nuts talking about the story about in the early 70s, I had a girlfriend, Stephanie Shoup, who was a underwear model. And she was one of the girls on the Sports Illustrated. And she was really, and yeah, she was brilliant. She was, Rhodes Scholar, went to Oxford. She was from Switzerland. Her daddy was super rich banker, but she was a wild girl. So she liked the party lifestyle of that thing. And then we met. And I kind of reminded her of her other side. So I had this loft in this place called, when we first met, I had a really crappy little apartment down in Alphabet City because I'd lost my loft. And pretty much my life has been one of being addicted and then kind of letting things go. So I had a big loft in Soho on Worcester Street. And I had 3 years of it. It was great, right? But then I, moved to Europe for about a year and a half. I just let it go. I had friends who saw the loft I had and went and got their own loft and wasn't even close to them because I had this loft on the top floor, had gigantic skylights. It was an amazing space. And these folks kind of fought for their loft for 10, 20 years. And it was like they had to stay in jail. And if they walked out, these guys who owned the buildings would try to break into their place and throw all their shit on the floor and change the locks. And they had to fight them in court and do all this stuff. And it was, tantamount to drive them insane. Me, Madame Olga Kluber, one of the great gifts she taught me was that you need to not only live in the moment, you need to, appreciate everything you do in the moment, right? And be there. And then move on to the next moment, to the next moment, to the next moment, right? So when I sold the school to John, I could have just moved on to the next moment, but I kind of saw in him, that he would be eaten alive by the energy up there. So I was there trying to help him ease into it. I took care of him for about a year. And then he started throwing me out. And then we did videos together and they were great hits. And he was making money off of me, so he kept me there for another year. So I could have, there were a lot of times I could have just left that. There were a lot of, I mean, I signed so many contracts with John, and that he broke every one of them like within minutes. You know, I was supposed to be able to stay there forever, and I would get, you know, half of whatever he made. And then he would just get, but you're costing me money. Ah! You know, glad we had a contract saying that that didn't matter. But anyway, so through my life, I've had many, 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 many occasions where I could have stayed in one place. But one of my things is that I don't. I move on to something better, something new, something different. You know, always serving love's co-creation, right? Well, you know, holding John's hand didn't serve love's co-creation anymore, so I moved on. But John has like semi-latched onto me. I mean, said most persons would be semi-respectful of something like that he put on his video. But Uncle Fugnuts is kind of saying, Caroline, can I have a box and a bag to go? Can I have a box and a bag to go? And so, you know, the story that Fugnuts is talking about is that when Stephanie and I were living in this apartment, and it was really, 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 you know, funkiest, crappiest, you know, Avenue D, you know, 3rd Street, really, ooh, it's really nasty. And so we had nothing in there. She had her own apartment up, her daddy's apartment up on Park Avenue, and I had a studio down in Tribeca. And we would stay in those places too. But there was the scene. Thank you, Caroline. Yeah. Okay. And you can take that away. Let me just do that.
Did you like the zucchini things?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yes. I love all that.
Are we good?
Yep. Yep. You take that too. Yep. And no, I'm talking to somebody. And so we're living there, and it was really hot summer day. And so that, you know, those apartments had gates and locks. You know, he had 10 locks on the door. And at a certain point, we said, screw it. Because we had nothing to steal, and people knew we had nothing to steal. And we were asleep, and we were naked. We're lying on this bed, and I kind of woke up, and this
Are
crazed.
you William Goodnight?
Hmm?
Are you William Goodnight?
No,
It's an airline pass.
yeah, a ticket.
It's a boarding pass.
Oh,
Seat number 4. I guess it's old.
yeah. When's the date?
Yeah, 14th October.
Yeah, yeah. Well, if it was like tomorrow, I would take it and go. Yes, any of you want to take me somewhere warm? It's not quite got cold, really cold yet. It's getting there. It's raining these days. Looks like it might rain soon. So that's why I kind of want to get on. Anyway, so I'll finish the story and tell you. And this is what Fugnuts was talking about. So, so we're asleep, and I hear someone at the gate, and we had left the gate open because to close the gate meant you had to close the window, and then it was like 90 degrees, and it was like way too hot to not have the window open. So this guy was coming through the gate, through into our apartment, and he had a big knife, and he had this like gleam in his eye, like he just wanted to kill, right? And I'm going, you know, and both Stephanie are butt ass naked because it's so friggin' hot. And she was like cuddled up against me, and I just kind of was like looking at it like that. And I then sensed her get up because I'm looking, what chair can I hit him with? You know, how can I, you know, defend my fair maiden here? She gets up and walks over to him and looks him straight in the eye and goes, "What's wrong?" And the guy's like, and she goes, "It's okay." She puts her hand on his shoulder. "God loves you. I love you." He loves you. We love you. Just sit down and relax. He does, and he puts the knife down, and she starts talking to him, and she's totally naked. And again, this woman is an underwear model slash, Sports Illustrated. She was on the cover, and that's how hot she was. And she's talking to him with unconditional love of love's co-creation, and it gets straight into his heart. No one's ever talked to him this way, and she's totally forgiving him of everything he's ever done. And he starts weeping, and she kneels down, and it's like, it's okay, it's okay. And after a while, he goes, I'm going to go now. And she goes, good. And she gives him a big hug, and she walks over and stands beside me, and he puts the knife down, and he goes out, and he closes the door. And then he comes back, and he clicks the latch, a lock, so it locks. And when he closes the door, he goes, this is so I can't get back in. Click. And so that is what Uncle Fugnuts is talking about, right? I should be that forgiving of John. And I am. But he resonates this character of why Western civilization is failing, And this channel is about defining, demonstrating, talking about, and finding alternative aesthetic. Now, I spent a whole year and a half of 15 months trying to help John find an alternative aesthetic. And he won't. He can't. He doesn't. I mean, he has all the best reasons. He has nice parents who are like supporting him. And he could work for them, and that would be a good thing for him. It would be, get him involved in the human race, but he doesn't. He's got 2 kids in Texas that he could go, and he has a master's degree in filmmaking. He has a bachelor's degree in that. He's got all kinds of degrees, experience. He could get a job anywhere in the film, or I've suggested to him. He's got this interesting voice that he has many different voices of. He could do voiceovers. I had a friend of mine I met in Asheville, and she was, basically, a barfly heroin addict, right? And she was staying with this guy in a really rancid motel in Asheville, and he left, and the person next door, the door was open, so she was getting kicked out of the room she was in, and she went into that room, and she stayed in it a couple of days. And the guy left his bags there. And the phone rang in his bag, and she said, "Yo?" And she goes, "Listen, is Bob there?" And she goes, "No. Well, what do you want?" She goes, the guy goes, "I need a voiceover, like in half an hour, right?" And she goes, "Voiceover, what's that?" He says, "Well, I've, sent Bob, a script of what he needs to read. He was going to do it, and I've got nobody to do it. And this person, this script could be a man or a woman. Do you want to do it? Are you a voiceover person?" She goes, "Well, sure. What do I get paid?" And the guy goes, "It's $600, for like 10 minutes worth of work, right? If you do it at all any good." She goes, "Well, how do I get paid?" And he goes, "Well, you're staying in the motel, right? I'll just have them. That place has a Western Union thing. I'll just have them. You have any idea? Oh, yeah, I have a driver's license. Well, just, give me your name, and I'll, if you do it right, I'll send you the $600 right now." So she does it. She actually is pretty good at it. The guy goes, "You're actually pretty good at this." And he takes her name and goes, "If I need you again, I'll get a hold of you on the same." So she has his cell phone, right? So about an hour later, she goes down to the office and goes, "Was the Western Union sent for me?" And he goes, "What's your name?" She tells it to him, shows the driver's license. "Yep, here's $600. She goes, "How much is it for, say, a month here?" He goes, $200. She gave him $200. "I'm going to stay in that same room that I was next to, right? The guy's not coming back. I'm going to stay there." The guy, "Okay." So she does. Anyway, long story short, out of that, she creates a career where she makes enough money to buy a house in Asheville and get married and have kids and change her life and stop doing drugs. And I don't know about now, but this was in the 90s, late 90s. She did this, and I knew her up until the early O's, and it changed her life. So she was able to go from really a terrible existence of basically prostitute, drug addict, to having her own life. And John isn't even close to having that terrible of a life, but he's way more miserable than this woman ever was at her worst. She never, she kind of lived moment to moment. That's why she was able to, okay, I'll try this. John doesn't try anything. So no matter how forgiving or consciously patient I am in trying to help him, my mom would say, you can drag a horse to water, can't make him drink. So can't make John drink. So I'm just going to slowly, and every time I go there to get my stuff, he threatens to hurt me. Even though he'll go, okay, you can come on, just come get your stuff. I mean, the last time I was there, that lasted 4 hours, was, that was why I was there, to get my stuff, not to move back in. I'm never moving back in, So John can, and he spent, I haven't been there for 173 days, I was there about 173 days. I was there for all of 8 hours, so. He keeps blaming me. My father says you can't stay here, Really? Okay. So. Now, John has done such mean, and he said, we could get back together. You just have to stop being a jerk. He considers me, my concern for his well-being, me being a jerk. Because every time, like, if you go and watch one of his latest, where he sings for 2 hours of really inappropriate stuff. If you listen to what he's talking about, it's really inappropriate stuff. And because that's what kind of rolls through his mind. I keep trying to get him to think of good thoughts, to have good words, to have good actions, to have good deeds, to have good outcomes, And he can't seem to do that. So, but I only want the best for John. Because he's still my friend, and I still care about him. But he's going to ease out of my consciousness. Because, I spent 3 years trying to help him out. So. And you guys need my assistance more. Because you have more of a potential to be that pebble in the pond. Yes, John has a big heart. John has a lot of talent. John has a lot of stuff. But, you read the good book, it talks a lot about people who have a lot to offer. And if they don't use it, that's the biggest sin of them all. So. So in a few minutes, I'm going to mosey off and do my chores. And it's fun. So go read my stuff, right? And anyone who wants, I could really use some assistance, go to Dreamy Dreamland with Sensei Al Bob. No. That's my channel. Dreamy Dreamland with Sensei Al Bob is my YouTube channel. Go to my Gmail account, which is thedudeawake42@gmail, and I have a PayPal account there. And a number of you have left me stuff and have made it to my, and it all works. So you want to leave me anything at all, it's very appreciated. And Uncle Pugnuts, it goes beyond a lot of nerve. I don't even know what to call it. It's like I am gab-smacked, just like, really? It's like, really? It's like, really? It's like, and especially after all these years of me, I would never even think of doing that, right? yes, I talk about John within the construct of my relationship and what he does to me and how he references as the canary in the coal mine. But, I don't talk about, you know, specific things in his life that I'm privy to. I'm just not going to do that. Now, I do talk about him as a parent because he does represent as the negligent parent, and that's one of the problems of our society. I only talk about things about John where he references about issues of society. Meaning, when our politicians go on about, well, our debt is getting so big, yeah, especially after you give $1 trillion to the richest people, well, we're going to come back on things that, like Social Security. That's a gift. No, you pay into Social Security. That's an insurance policy. So is Medicare, and so these aren't entitlements. And we being the richest country on the planet, and we don't have single payer health care. I lived in so many countries that were super poor that had single payer because that's the only way they could take care of people. And the government realized the best thing they could do is make sure these people, they don't have a pandemic so everybody dies. So that's when John represents those things, those social dynamics that are pandemics. And because John is a pandemic, and in my book, Damara, she's a pandemic, she's, and so it's again beyond nerve. Okay, we're getting up there. I wanted to stop at 2 hours, 22 minutes, and 22 seconds, and it's gonna be there in a few seconds. So I'm gonna say see you later. So drop me some. Anything you can at my PayPal at thedudawake42@gmail. Go look at my stuff at Griot, Griotte Publishing, or xratted.blogspot.com. Get people to watch Dreamy Dreamland with Sensei Albaba. Build that cadre up, and leave some more thumbs up, gangs. More thumbs up. And subscribe and do all those great things that change the algorithm in this channel's favor. As someone said, they were amazed that I only have 45 or whatever subscribers. And again, go get yourself a dartboard and start watching the past shows because there's a lot there. If you really want to step up with your soul, start watching the old shows. Okay, love you guys. There we go.